Okay, we're doing it. We're on.
Hello, everybody. Today, our guest is a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. He currently splits his time working in his private clinic in North Van and being the leader of the acupuncturist at Burnaby Center of Mental Health and Addiction. Please, everyone, welcome Craig Webb, aka Buddy Craig. How you doing today, Craig?
Hey,
Thanks,
I'm well. Thank you.
buddy
Thank you, Devin.
Craig.
Thanks
Hi,
so much for
Nige.
being on the show.
Hey,
No,
Craig.
thank you. Thanks
How's
for
it
having me
going?
on. Appreciate
Good.
it.
I was just saying
Yeah.
I've got my hot water and lemon
Uh,
this morning here,
oh,
which
very, very good. Yes.
all these practitioners say is good to have in the morning, just to get
Yeah.
your a
Yeah.
little to get you going, right?
Help the lemon's good for detoxing the liver. So yeah, no.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard.
It's good for detoxing. Yeah.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
how
There
come how
are.
come when you wake up in the morning, why is it like? Is there any special? You have it. I guess you could have it any time of the day, but it just
Well,
kind of.
you can. I mean, a good thing is lemon with turmeric too.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Using turmeric too, and ginger. Ginger is fantastic because it's good for circulation in the body. So
Right.
Right.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's small. We don't have to do a lot, but it's just general maintenance yeah, our bodies. I'm going to give you a quote if that's okay, and then
Okay.
and then
Go ahead.
then everything builds on this quote. The quote is, everyone has a doctor within him or her. We just have to help it in its work. The natural healing force within us is the greatest force in getting well. And the irony there is that is a quote from Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, which that quote really more pertains to the practice, the natural practices of Chinese medicine and other therapies that work to stimulate the body to repair itself.
Right.
Not to lambaste Western medicine too much, but I mean they come from the outside to treat the body, and when without or essentially forgetting that our bodies have immense abilities within them to correct things, but they just need to be directed sometimes. So that's essentially what all these therapies, energy healing, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, etc., are all about, guiding the body to do its own work, which is to correct things. And it's incredible how adept it is at it. But it's much more successful when you get to it at an early point, when a person is
That's interesting. Yeah, and so like it's funny because traditional Chinese medicine, I know, like you and I have known each other since like we were in 5 years old or something. And when we were kids, we'd never heard of anything like this. We'd never heard of acupuncture. We'd never heard of traditional Chinese medicine or alternative. Everything was always our Western, cut, slice, all that stuff.
Put band-aids on it instead of attacking the root of the actual cause, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what we're brought up with, right? And we were,
Right.
Western medicine just jumped in and took over, the indigenous medicines and everything,
Yeah.
and just steamrolled over everything. And we sort of got pushed to the side for a long period of time. But now, thankfully, we're being more incorporated again, but we're still very underutilized for what this actually can do. And that's why I'm happy to be here
Yeah.
to talk
And
with you.
even in our Western, like in our Western world, like you go to Japan, you go to China, Asia, it's heavily, it's always been the way. It's their traditional. They use the traditional ways, whatever
Yeah,
even like the soups and all of that, the traditional ways, where we've
yeah,
kind of, I don't know if because we're a newer society, we're only like 300-400 years older in the West here, in the UK and in Europe, they're older, but we have, we haven't brought those, we don't have those old traditional ways that the Asians had. And now, it's almost like there's an explosion in our Western world with people that are really curious about this. I mean, I've been coming to you for, several years for acupuncture, but it took me a long time to come in because I was always, ooh, I don't know. I don't want to get, needles stuck in my back. But it's absolutely, and I used to go for massage and used to loosen things up, but I come out of an acupuncture treatment and I'm floating. And, for like a day and a half, I'm floating. It's incredible what it does.
Yeah, it's all about resetting the body. Essentially, it's I've got my favorite reset points, but I mean, our daily living and life in general throws things at us, right? And the way I look at it is when from infant to adolescent, the bodies of a person in youth are extremely robust to like they get the really high fevers and that when they get sick and that, but their bodies are able to handle things. But as we get older, we layer on what I call sediment, life sediment, which is, like different, everything from emotional abuse or, physical abuse, stress, all life's happenings just get layered on top of this robust healing, entity that we are. And that mutes our body's connectedness to be able to correct things. And so that's where, when the problems arise, is we get sluggish and we know, as we get older, it takes us a lot longer to heal ourselves and things like that. Right. And that's, because the body gets more sluggish and slows down. So by doing acupuncture, we access through those layers of, that emotional, physical sediment into that robust, healing entity that we have, and that's how essentially what we're doing. So so it's
well, that's interesting because I know, the older I get, the when I was young and you could take on the world, and the older you get, I think we do get our layering or our sediment or our baggage. And for me, just personally, like later on, I've been having, like I mentioned in some of our other little shows, I get these anxiety attacks out of and I get hit out of nowhere sometimes. And I know I've come to you and, you've treated me. I've also gone to the Whistler Clinic up as well for acupuncture treatment. And it helps kind of release. And it's really kind of interesting because when I get an acupuncture treatment, I come in and then, 2-3 hours later, I'm just like floating. But then the next day, some of the time I can feel almost a bit fluish. And is that because, things are being released, like it's this release. And then the third day, I just feel fantastic. Like, it's like this, I have this dip. It's almost like something's been released out of me, Yeah.
Cool. No, that's, I mean, what can happen after an acupuncture treatment is, and I always make mention of it to my patients, and it usually only happens after the first couple of times. If a person's come regularly, then they don't get it, but it's called a healing crisis.
Right.
And as frightening as it seems and appears, it's actually a very good sign, because essentially what we're doing is we're putting a poker in the hot embers of a fire and stirring things up, and that. What that means is we're just directing the body again to get the healing enacted. So and when you do that, you're bringing attention to the issue that the person has, and it can actually make, it highlights it, so it makes it feel worse, but you're actually working through that. So and I always say that it doesn't always have to happen, but if it does, it won't last more than 24 hours, and usually a lot less than that. So
that's really it is funny because I know I've come for treatments. I used to do lots of traveling, and I'd always go, I got to get all tweaked up for my trip because I'm going away for 3 weeks on a business trip. And I'd come in and then I get on the flight the next day and I thought I had the flu. And I'm like, I forgot I had and like you said, it's the first couple of times and then you're okay. But if I haven't come for a long time, and I come in, I just like, it's almost like a bit of a smack on the head saying, Nigel, you need to come more, or not,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah.
more regular, just to kind of
Yeah.
let the valve open a little bit. I
Yeah.
think I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. Sorry,
Yeah.
Deb, were you saying something there?
No, I'm just listening to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and it's but and you always talk about, when I come in, it's always you say, oh, your adrenals. What the heck are your adrenals? What does that mean when you talk about adrenals?
Well, I mean, the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys, and they, they produce hormones that are, literally there to regulate us and keep us safe, essentially. I mean, the fight or flight hormones, that are enacted when we're under stress, and in our society. I mean, a lot of us do have overworked adrenals because because we do have levels of stress that and throughout the ages, of course, that's always been the case. But the difference now is we're more contained. We're not able to release, when we're feeling stress or any emotions. We're not as able to release them because it's not societal to it's not acceptable in society to do that. So
to do that, and our world is going much faster than it used to.
So we tend to hang on to emotions, and so the adrenals start kicking out the cortisol, and it becomes a vicious circle. And acupuncture is and related therapies. And I'm not gonna, like, traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, incorporates acupuncture and its therapies plus the herbal remedies, and it's very, they're very symbiotic, and that's why we use both together. But I'm just going to talk about mainly acupuncture here, but I don't want to feel like people are thinking, okay,
I know, because you're talking about other things like supplements, like mushrooms these days have become a massive thing, right? In our Western world, we're only just discovering the power of the mushroom, or the fungi.
Fungi,
I gotta pronounce it correct. Right.
Um,
But then with the acupuncture, so you've explained to me, you have these meridians of energy. We're all energy, right? Everything here is energy. Everything, and we talked about it before. Is it a chi? There's a chi in everything. Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, chi. What is chi? Chi is life force, and everything is held together, like even inanimate objects, tables, anything, trees, rocks, even, they all have their own chi.
Right.
And some of us, the more, biological entities, we're more, we have a bigger or more of a vibration of that chi than the rocks and the tables and things. And it all goes along with frequency, right? So we hum along at it, like anything, and all atoms vibrate, and that vibration is a frequency, and it creates a electromagnetic field, which becomes the if you look at the chart behind me there with the meridians in our body that run in set positions through our bodies, but they also connect to our organ systems too. And so by doing the acupuncture and related therapies, we're accessing that flow of the chi. And the chi is it's essentially the overriding controller for the other systems in our body. We think of the nervous system, the circulatory system, endocrine system, all those systems. But from what I started studying Western health sciences before I got into this, and I had a lot of questions about, okay, why does this system start at this particular time, like adolescence, or even, there's so many things that are, and they say, okay, well, it's just a feedback loop that, but the the translation of how, from genes to how it's affecting our health. There's not really an explanation how it goes from that one, from being in the substrate of our chromosomes to, to activating the different systems in our body. So I came to think, okay, well, there's this overriding system, and then I just, when I first heard of acupuncture, I had no idea what it was, or but I was intrigued, and a friend of mine was a therapist and saying how great results people were getting from acupuncture. So I thought, okay. And then, but I was still studying Western health sciences and having these questions about, how it, and it's just through rote memorization of, to learn all this instead of actually a flow and seeing how things work. And so a couple of weeks later, after hearing about this acupuncture stuff, somebody said, "Oh, did you know there's a new school of Chinese medicine just opening up in Victoria?" Because I thought, okay, you have to go to Asia, and I had no idea how to get training. And so I thought, I was so intrigued. I thought, okay, well, I'll go and check it out for a year if I don't see enough proof positive in that year. And I need I'm somebody that I grew up in popular science magazines. I need to see proof and understand what's going on. So I thought, okay, I'll enroll, and if I don't see enough in that first year, then it's only a year, right? So, but what was my biggest convincer was we had masters of Chinese medicine from Asia teaching us there, everything from family secrets to a whole, incredible array of different, like Korean acupuncture, Japanese acupuncture, everything, but also the other half were Western medical doctors that had completely stopped practicing Western medicine and were just practicing Chinese medicine. And to me, that was the thing that spoke the biggest volumes to me, because because they've seen both sides, and they made the choice to go with the Chinese medicine. So
it's because it goes way back. Because I remember, because we used to mountain bike race together like years and years ago, and it was really funny because after every race, Craig would be pulled over to the side, and we'd be dying. I'd be like exhausted, and Craig would be there, and he'd be putting needles in his knees and his ears, and you'd look at him and go, "What is with this porcupine?" And we'd kind of make fun of you a little bit sometimes, and we'd call you voodoo man and all this, right? But we just didn't realize. And then even so, if I look back through old photographs of when we're in our 20s or later 20s, I look, and then most of them have you with needles sticking out of you in your knees and everything. I've got mountain biking pictures and on the wall, and there's you, and you have your needles in your elbow or your whatever it was. And and then pre-race too, like you were treating yourself pre-race to give you that energy or whatever it was, the extra.
There's ways of performance enhancement with acupuncture. I do treat a lot of more professional athletes and stuff like that, and it's there's huge benefits in that regard. But it's really a one-stop shop. I mean, people ask me, well, will it treat this? And I'll say, everything from fibromyalgia to digestive IBS to emotional issues, and I'd say, we'll treat this, yes, we'll treat this, yes. And I said, wait a minute, you're just going to say, yes to everything,
right?
But it was their whole health system, right? It was they never had a separate, they never had physicians to treat the physical body and a psychologist, the equivalent of a psychologist, psychiatrist, to treat the emotional body. It's always been looked at as under one, it's all in the same package, and there is no separation. And one thing that struck me about learning about Chinese medicine is one of their treatises is that the main causes of internal disease begin with imbalances in the emotions.
Right.
And that is what triggers what we call blocks in the body, like that. As we talk about, the flow of the chi is meant to be, because that's creates the connectedness where our body's able to figure out if something's changed or whatever. It can, as long as it's got that connectedness and that communication, it can correct it and repair it. But if and so what happens with imbalances in the emotions is they can create these blocks that where the body isn't able to access and correct these things. And so that's where the process that starts as an energy block becomes a physical entity. And the unfortunate thing is that Western medicine has to wait until you can either palpate a mass like a tumor, or see changes in the blood, or some kind of thing where they can actually make that diagnosis so they can prescribe medications or whatever. But by that point, a lot of these health issues that of course, we think, okay, where did that come from? But a lot of this has been building for years. And, it's like Alzheimer's or dementia.
Right.
They actually start in our 40s, and the prions start layering on. So it's not like it just suddenly comes on, but when we start noticing it, that's when things are in their advanced state and they proceed rapidly. But if you can get to things, and this is where this medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture really shines, is getting those, freeing those blocks before those blocks, increase to creating something that's a lot more detrimental. And we can detect very minute energy blocks. Like I do something called auricular therapy, where I work on points on the ears, and the ears have a representation to treat the whole body. So you can, and I use it's the old meets the new, where yes, it's ancient Chinese medicine, but they've also adapted it and move with the times and technology to develop new styles of approach that can, utilizing the philosophies of Chinese medicine, detect these anomalies that create all these health problems. So
going back to the ear, because I know I've come to you, I had some really bad knee surgery a long time ago, and I was in so much pain from that knee surgery. It was horrible. I was bedridden for quite a while, and I was on all those codeine, painkillers and all that, and they just messed me right up. So you came by and you put these little screws in my ear, right? And basically, when I didn't feel so good, I would kind of rub and push on them, and I would feel a heck of a lot better. And that really helped me a lot to deal with pain, was pushing on these points in my ear. And I've come to you, more recently too, and you put these little things, I've left them in. And then I saw that you're also using, is it light therapy, where you hit the ear? I'm not sure what you're doing with that, or is it?
Yeah, I use light therapy actually on the body itself.
On the body itself, yeah.
Yeah, it's called photobiomodulation, but it's, again, everything is about frequency and how we react with the body. Like the body has and it's been measured and proved and scientifically studied that our body has a healthy body has a frequencies between 62 megahertz and 74 megahertz.
Oh.
And when when the frequencies drop down to 58 or lower, 58 megahertz or lower, that's when we start to get ill and our immune system is compromised. Down to 40 megahertz, and that's the frequencies for cancer and that sort of thing, right? So when the lower the frequencies, the more detrimental it is to our health, right? And they actually, and interesting enough, there's these crowd control things that the military has in that, where they sonic. I don't know if you heard about that in Cuba or whatever, where they attacked, had an attack, and it made people really ill.
Yes,
what that is it's using very ultra low frequency, and that ultra low frequency makes people sick, right?
Oh, is that what was going
So
on?
that's what they're doing. They're doing this inaudible ultra low frequency, which makes people sick. So essentially what we do with the light therapy and sound therapy too. Solfeggio frequencies are something to look up, but it's all about sound therapy. So it's all about essentially we have, it's using the five senses to stimulate the body's, to get the body back on track. But with the light therapy, it has it all cells have been shown to have a photon bioreceptors on them, so they can accept light. It's not just like the retina and the parts of the eye that can use light, but the whole body can affect light. So by using the light therapy, we're activating circulation. We're just same thing with sound. But it's all about getting that circulation, that flow going smoothly. So so you can push through those blocks, as I mentioned, that are the creator of everything from musculoskeletal, like shoulder pain, to digestive problems, to sleep and all things. So.
And you mentioned to me that our bodies are like a tree, right? You have your leaves and they bring in the energy and then it flows down, and but you need a good strong root system, right?
Yeah, we've all heard the term grounded and that. It's essentially, acupuncture helps to ground you, right? You can do, by going out in nature, that grounds you. Eating the right foods and that. But acupuncture is very succinct at allowing, by helping the body get back to a state of balance, you're helping the body also get back to being grounded. And then that is what helps with anxiety, with the emotional issues like anxiety, and depression and all these, plus the physical stuff, because it's it's allowing the body to, but with that grounding, it allows you, and grounding is, same term as balance. I look at it as balance as well, but it means that, if you come under stressful situations, you're not as heavily affected by it. And it doesn't, like a tree system that doesn't have strong roots will get blown over with, anytime the wind picks up, which, but if it's grounded, or balanced, then it's able to deal with that. So, by doing the treatments, we're not going to take away somebody's stressful events in their lives, but what it will do is it will help that person adapt to the situation and not be so heavily affected by it. So.
So what's your approach when you meet like a client for the first time, like to really determine what the problem is and how to treat it?
Well, we use the five senses. We listen, we hear we're actually listening to, everything from sound, that's very important to visually seeing, observing the person. We also do something, called pulse taking, where we, it's tied in with the 12, there's 12 main meridians in the body. So we take 6 pulses on each wrist, but we're looking for energy changes or energy balance within those six pulses. And we also look at the tongue too. The tongue is very important. You probably heard of iridology, where you can look at the eyes and see if there's there's certain blood vessels in different locations in the eyes. You can look at the hands, so there's lots of different. But you sort of like just take it all in at the same time. So it's just like, but it's the difference between what we do and say Western medicine. And again, I don't want to land-based Western medicine, but essentially what they do is they take a blood sample and they start looking in their microscopes or whatever to see what changes in the blood and that. But what happens there is that's reductionism, where they take the whole person and then they go in for to get testing done, and then they lose sight of that, how whatever brings them in is affecting that whole person, and focusing on changes in the blood. Whereas what we do is we expand and we say, okay, this person has digestive issues, but you can find out, okay, well, they've a lot of that might be stemming from from what we've done with the assessment. They're under a lot of stress, and and they've had some very serious emotional issues come up and things like that, and so it all ties in. But if you're just strictly focusing on somebody with digestive issues or IBS and not looking at the big picture, then you're never gonna you're not gonna get the full resolution from that. So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I know when I come in to see you, like it's like you take the pulse to see kind of a check-in thing, and then we go, and then I've had my lower back in the past several years has been really kind of bugging me, and then with acupuncture and then certain exercises, I'm 4 years ago I wasn't able to ski, like to do certain things, and now I'm careful, a little bit more careful, but I'm doing these exercises, and then the acupuncture really kind of, I don't know, really helps me. It's been really...
it's the thing about acupuncturists, we are very underused for what we can do. I mean, that's everybody gravitates to all the other different therapies and that, but it's just like acupuncture is the most widely used therapy on the planet. Yeah, it might not be so much here, but in other places. So it's but it does need to have more understanding of, and it's essentially just activating our body's own abilities to repair itself, and but whereas if you're working on working on the surface to get to a hip issue or whatever, you can only be so successful because you need to get in there. And so with the acupuncture, we can get right, if you pardon the pun, to the point, and it's that's what's needed to activate that circulation to remedy the problems.
And you've treated racehorses as well, right?
Yeah. I've treated. And the reason I got into treating racehorses, well, any animals in general, I think about after the fact, but it's because I used to go around and introduce myself to the physicians and just say, and they'd be polite and listen to what I had to say, but they'd pat me on the head, pop, and because I talk about the chi and energy, and as soon as you mention the word energy, you'd almost hear the steel gate closing, right? Because that's not the system they're trained in or brought up, and I get that. But we are energy. We're all the physical aspects of us are literally there to create this perpetual energy producer that we always talk, and the irony there is that we always talk about energy. Oh, I'm feeling low energy today, or this or that. We talk about energy, but we don't really think about it, and energy is everywhere. And without the sun's energy, again, talking back to the light, to say, okay, well, how can shining a light on you have any effect? Well, we wouldn't exist without the sun, right? So,
That's right.
it's, of course, it's very powerful. And
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
interesting that you said that, earlier on here, you mentioned like indigenous, we don't, in the West, we haven't listened in the past to the indigenous ways. And indigenous, like you go back into Asia and China, you're talking about 3,000, 5,000 years,
more, yeah, yeah,
or more. And, there was a lot of trial and error for all that. And they figured a lot of
yeah,
stuff out. We've had
yeah,
a few hundred years
yeah,
for, and then it's interesting because we have good friend, he's a shaman, he's a Peruvian shaman. And what
yeah,
do they talk about? Indigenous wisdom, and indigenous wisdom for them going back thousands and thousands of years, it's all energy. So you're
yeah,
coming from Asia, it's energy. Talking about the shamans deep in the Amazon, energy. And then when I see Jamie, just like when I see you, he looks and he can see my energy, and he
yeah,
he says, oh, your energy is whatever. Let's maybe move this here and move this a bit. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But
yeah.
and it does seem like some woo woo stuff, to it did to me several years ago, but now it's it's pretty darn real.
Well, yeah, it's like, when I talk to somebody about, they're sort of, skeptical about the acupuncture and that, I say,
Mm.
well, and I say, well, it's just what system we been brought up in. But if you told somebody that wasn't used to taking to Western medicine, saying and giving them a pill and saying, okay, take this pill and it's going to affect your big toe, you'd say, well, that's weird, that's crazy, that's but because we accept, or we're brought up in that system, we just like, I mean, it's the same idea with the acupuncture. It's all about sending a signal into the body, and that's be it with the light therapy, sound therapy. It's all about interacting and sending a signal into the body to. I've got a lot of good analogies, but the difference between a Western treatment and say what I do, the Chinese medicine treatment. Say the Western analogy is, if say you're driving along the highway and and suddenly your engine light comes on, right?
Yeah.
So this is the Western analogy. So you say, oh no, I got to pull over. You pull over and you pop open the hood, and you rummage around in the engine, and you find the two wires going to the dash that are lighting up the engine light, and you just reach in there with a wires cutter and snip off those wires, and the engine light's off. So then you get back in the car and you keep driving, and that's it. You haven't actually got to the root cause of what the problem was, right? Whereas the Chinese medicine thing, you pop open the hood and you say, okay, the engine light's on, but let's look around the engine to see what the heck's making that engine light go on. So that's that's kind of the difference, right? So
Yeah. Right.
another analogy is I lost my train of thought here.
Dev,
What?
You got any analogies?
No, I'm just listening here. This is freaking crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that I mentioned Nikola Tesla there. His quote
Yes.
is, the only way the universe can truly be understood is through energy, vibration, and frequency. And this is Nikola Tesla,
Really?
going back that far, right? And
Yeah.
and that's it. I mean, it's yeah, we have the physical world, but that it's still energy that holds everything together, but we just don't think of it in those terms, right? We're just and all of the treatments that we do, like with acupuncture, it's quite a number of different therapies that we use. So, it's not just, and it doesn't have to be acupuncture needles too. If somebody's
Yeah.
scared of acupuncture, I mean, yeah, there's lots of approaches we can take. So again, if somebody's scared, doesn't like the idea of the acupuncture, then
So what would you say? Like, okay, we've got people that are curious because they're listening, and maybe they haven't tried it before. I mean, somebody like Devin, I don't know if you ever had any acupuncture, Dev?
No, I don't think I actually have.
But you've had like like herbal treatments and
Yeah.
mushrooms and all sorts of stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Laser
So
therapy, stuff like that.
oh, and laser, yeah, you've had laser therapy. So what would you say, Craig, like for people, to try, like to come and try it? Because I know I was always very skeptical. It took me years and years to come in because I was scared of a needle, and they're so
Yeah,
thin and fine, like you can't feel them.
yeah,
They're thinner than, I don't know, much thinner than a hair
yeah,
on your head. And but just the reaction, and I used to say I used to go and get a massage because you can lay down, you can physically feel, and you come out of there and then I started, coming to the acupuncture because I go to you, then I go to Whistler, to the Whistler clinic up there as well. And I just come out of these your guys, and I just like, whoa, I feel better than I did than having a massage. And
Right.
and you're basically working the meridians and working, the energy flow in my body.
yeah,
It's
yeah. It's incredibly safe treatment. I mean,
yeah.
and essentially, yeah, a therapeutic massage can be a lot more painful than acupuncture. I mean, the whole idea
Yes.
is once we do the acupuncture, yes, you feel you feel a little pinch, and somebody might think, oh, you're a bad acupuncturist. I felt that, but you do need to feel something because you're sending a signal, right? And it's essentially that sensation. It's the chi sensation, we call it, but
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it's sending that signal, and that's how it works. And so you do need to send a signal, but I mean, obviously, there's no point in making it, excruciating or anything like that. I mean, it's actually an incredibly relaxing treatment,
Yes.
and it gets to the essentially so deep into the body, which is not what a lot of therapies can achieve, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
it has the ability to access a much deeper level. But sorry, back to explaining that essentially that sensation is sending a signal. So I mean, everything needs a signal sent. Like turning on a light switch, you need to send a signal. Anything, in order for something to work, you have to send a signal, and that's what the acupuncture or the gasha is a type of Chinese massage that I do, that or cupping
Mm-hmm.
or any of these things. It's all about activating flow, getting communication with the body, but also sending that signal. And it's trusting our body's wisdom. And back to that first quote I said, it's we all have that inherent ability in us to heal ourselves, right? And so it's just a matter of activating our body's own systems to do that. What the biggest benefit I see for Chinese medicine is, by waiting until a disease process, really takes hold in somebody, and you can see it, in blood work or in scan. It's so much more efficient to get to correcting somebody's system and keeping them healthy, um, by intercepting when there is this energetic shift. Now, I talked about
Mm-hmm.
frequencies, and how a disease like I said, like a cancer is 40 megahertz. But what happens is we can put emotions into different tissues in our body. It doesn't have, the emotions don't just stay in the head. They can go other, and what that is a lower, it creates that lower frequency, which blocks flow. And so by doing the acupuncture, or the light therapy, or any of these different gut, all these different treatments, we want to raise the frequency so that the body can reestablish normal function. And yeah.
So when you're doing a treatment, I'll be there. Say I have my lower back, I have a bit of a spasm or something. So I come in, and then you put the needle in a spot, right? And then you twist it a bit. I think you're twisting it, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
sometimes I don't feel anything, like it's nothing. And then there's times when you go, and then I feel like a buzz, or like a numb, like a not a numb, like a, I don't know how but it's just kind of like a, oh, that's
and
kind of cool.
achiness. Yeah,
Yeah, like a slight achiness. Yeah, that's a good. And you just twist it, and then you go, oh, I got that. Oh, I got it there. How's that? I'm like, yeah, man, you got it. And it's like you can actually feel it releasing. Like you can
Yeah.
feel something going, like the energy. You can,
Wow.
and it's really cool. And there's ones that you put in, like, no, not there. And then there, you're like, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got it. That's great. And now it's, I crave that. Like I come in and like I know that, like it's like, oh, that's good. That's good because there's something and it's releasing it there. And you just like you come back, you just twist it a bit, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's almost like like an achiness or I'm going to say a slight burn. No, just the achiness thing, and it just it's like a little spark.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. It's called that's the chi sensation, right? So you're feeling the
Okay.
chi when you get that. I mean, people say, "Oh,
Wow.
you got a nerve or whatever," and I said, "Well,
Yeah, yeah,
that might be one way of, but it's the chi,
yeah.
right?" And by turning the needle, when we put a needle in, we're trying to get to the meridians, the channels that flow. Think of it like a fiber optics or something.
Right.
Or another way is like if think of a stream and you put a staff or a pole or a stick into a stream and you divert that, you create an eddy where you
Mhm.
put that stick in that stream. That
Right.
eddy will go along the length of that meridian. Um, so
Mm.
you're affecting the full length of that meridian. So by treating the shoulder, I can work on points on the butt there, the
Yes.
glutes. There's some awesome points to treat the shoulder. You can treat the ankle by treating the wrist.
Yes.
Again by that channel. It's like um, I just finished treating he's going down for trials for the Olympics. He's going to
Hmm.
Japan.
Mm.
And he's had this really bad ankle for 8 months, and
Ooh. Ooh.
he came into me all like he wanted to come in every other day or every day to get this ankle fixed, and this is just like this week.
Yeah.
And so it was his left ankle, but right away I went to his right wrist. Right, no,
Yes.
it was more like underneath. It was more like plantar fasciitis,
Hmm.
Achilles tendon stuff. So I went to his right wrist, right in the area that mimicked where what was going on his foot. And yes, sure enough, there was a very tender point there.
Hmm.
So I needle that point too, and it cleared it up. So it's in
Yeah.
and it's all that relationship with the everything's connected, right? And it's everything is yeah. I also do
Wow.
something called abdominal acupuncture, where
Yeah.
again you can treat the whole body by just treating the abdomen, and it's phenomenal for treating backs, hips, knees, IBS, digestive issues, anxiety issues. But and you say, well, how can you possibly treat the whole body by? But this is where around the umbilicus is where we came from, right? The umbilical cord, the fetus,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
all began there. So it's the center, and there's more neurons in the abdomen than there is in the brain and spinal cord put together.
Wow.
um, and also things like serotonin. 80% of serotonin in the body is created in the abdomen,
Oh,
and
cool.
50% of dopamine comes from the abdomen. And they're finding tie-ins even with a lot of brain alterations and changes like Parkinson's. They found
Yes.
tie-ins with issues in the abdomen for that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's another way of accessing different areas to treat a lot of different stuff, right? So
Wow, that's incredible,
yeah,
man. Yeah, I mean, there's
yeah.
so much. There's so much. It's. I mean, yeah, we could talk forever. I think we've almost been like an hour here, and it's just.
Oh wow,
It's
really?
incredible.
Okay.
It's incredible. Yeah, there's so much information because I know that I mean the UM treating Olympic athletes, and then also our friend Whistler with the Whistler Clinic, Dom Valet, where she was a Olympic snowboarder for the
Yeah.
Canadian Olympic team, and she was like you. She was like having her injuries, and she'd be treating herself like when we were doing our mountain bike racing stuff, like you'd be on the side treating yourself with acupuncture. And then she got so infatuated with it as well, she ended up becoming a doctor of Chinese medicine. So if people are a Whistler, they can go there. And if they're in the North Shore here or in Vancouver, come and see you. Or even if people, I think, even if people are, away, like in Chicago or in whatever, they can contact you for advice or whatever it is on this traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. It's just, it's really helped. It's helped me. My wife Reiko's been to you. She's been to other people as well. For those big, with the IBS needles and the
Yeah.
big guys. Yeah. So but it's a great. Yeah, it's just what you guys do is amazing. And treating racehorses as well. It's just crazy.
Well, I always remember this. This again. The reason I got into treating animals was, I don't think I finished that story. I'd go to the physicians to explain, like I was all full of vim and vinegar and, wanting to explain about acupuncture. And then I'd mention about energy and I'd hear the steel gate close, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd say, well, I've heard lots of things about it. Well, if it does work, it's the placebo effect, and that's the result. That's the answer I would get all the time, right? Yeah. So then I thought, okay, well, if it's a placebo effect, why does it work so well in animals? Because an animal doesn't know that you're doing this to help them, right? And in fact, initially they think, okay, well, that's ouch, that hurts, but it works like this one horse I treated down at Exhibition Park, which is our local horse racing track. His name was My Turn to Star, was the horse's name, My Turn to Star. And it had a shoulder injury. So I went and I treated it 3 times for a shoulder injury. And it was also a lung bleeder too. So that's another thing. But I had these issues that, all the bookies knew about. They know the health of these horses. So they have these astronomical odds, because of these health issues. So the trainer after the 3rd time said, Star is doing so much better. I've actually entered her in the race this afternoon. And I said, that's great. Great to hear. And okay. And so I said my goodbyes and off I went. And then as I was leaving, I thought, I should have put $20 down on that just to validate my work. Right. And anyways, that evening, the trainer called and she was all excited and she said, guess what? Star won the race. And I was all happy, but then I thought, why didn't I put
$20 out?
Because it was 24-1 against. So, so darn it.
Damn.
But
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But the way to put it for I can sum up if you want, because we have been going.
I guess we probably should. I've got so much storage space on.
To sum up, why use an acupuncturist or a Chinese medicine person is we look after ourselves, hopefully and supposedly, by doing our own, taking our own supplements, exercise, meditation. But we're missing one aspect. And it's like using the car analogy. Like we understand, when we have a car, we do the simple maintenance, like airing the tires and checking the oil and that sort of thing. And then but to avoid the dreaded or the trip to the mechanic, we take it in for a tune-up every 6 months, right? And the tune-up, that's what's missing with Western healthcare, is that full-on tune-up, which is where the acupuncture and Chinese medicine really shines, because it's above the self-maintenance of the nutrition and the exercise, meditation, or whatever. It's one step further to ensure that our everything's connected and communicating in our bodies. And that's, in a nutshell, that's how we maintain our health and that. And again, things build over a long period of time, but because we don't see it, we're such a, and we tend to be a bit impatient too with our own health.
True.
And that's again, like take a pill for
instant.
they try to sell you on this immediate fix or whatever, which it never is. But
Just
that's the
masking
way
the symptoms.
that's
Yeah.
the way they sell it, is really a fast, and I think I mentioned this to you before. I look at going towards illness is like going on a hike. Not to take anything away from hikes, I like hikes, but yeah, you start off and you're moving and you're going on this hike to get to this point where you have this health issue, right? You still have to hike back to get better, and people come and they want the one tree. I mean, and I do get one treatment wonders for but it is a process, right? And you have to do that hike back to get well. But when you're doing that, the beauty of this stuff is your whole body benefits. Even though you come in with one issue, your whole body gets a benefit, including your immune system, which of course is so important right now, to strengthen our immune systems and that. So but yeah, think of that hike back. And the analogy with a lot of Western people, because they're so used to wanting that quick fix, they want to zip line it back.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Instead of hike back, they want to zip line back. And it's realistically, if you want to get the body to enact a correction to an issue, it can take. I mean, some people respond much quicker for different. Everybody's different too, and that's the thing, that we don't like to pigeonhole somebody. I mean, everybody gets their own unique treatment because we're all different, and everybody responds differently, and everybody so.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I guess we should, Dev. We should probably wrap up on that. Hey, on that note, Dev, what do you think?
Yeah, we can. That's
unless you got any more questions or anything, Dev.
No,
or?
I'm just trying to absorb some of that information. Holy smokes, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah. Other than that, thank you so much for coming on the show, Craig. If anybody wants to learn anything else about Dr. Craig, you can check it out in the link in the bio and the description of the video. Other than that, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Devin. Thanks. Hey, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. That's awesome. So.
Yeah, no, it's good, and it's nice because we're kind of doing some health and wellness. So we'll have like health and wellness kind of segments here with different types of speakers, guests, and also local stuff, because a lot of the stuff that we've been doing has been people from all over the world, and now we've recently had kind of local people. So for the local all the way, in the Vancouver area and whatnot. So I think that's really cool too. So it's just a lot of fun. Yeah. And this has been awesome, Craig. Thanks so much. Really appreciate
thank
it.
you thanks for having me on. All right.
No problem. I will just